Hi guys, this is Demon Rants, and today we are finally starting over the Tekken retrospective, if you will. We're going to go on the PS1, and this is Tekken 1. Now, just before I make the review and stuff like that, I will tell you this is the downloaded version on PS3, obviously. I'm sorry that I don't actually have the physical copy version of this game, unfortunately, because I bought it on PSN first. I bought the downloaded version on instead, so yeah, this is how it's going to look. Now, I'm going to do the same for Tekken 2, as you can see I bought Tekken 2 as well, but I actually do have Tekken 3 on disc on PS1, so I will do the traditional turn my phone on the side, you know, the usual kind of stuff. I know people don't like that kind of stuff, it looks pretty cheap, but it kind of, you know, it fits. I want to make this consistent, but since this is on my TV, I'm going to do it this way. So yeah, this is Tekken 1 on the PS1, and it came out in 1995. So yeah, there's actually the quick plot there, you know, the quick story. But yeah, do I really need to tell you how much of a success this game was? So yeah, first of all, it came out in 1994. Now, to be honest, this game's backstory and what it did for 3D fighters is a lot more interesting than the actual game itself. I don't really like this game that much, but it's very important for that reason. But yeah, anyway, this game actually came out in arcades in 1994, the same year as Virtua Fighter on consoles. Obviously, it came out on the Sega Saturn, which I don't think anybody got, and sorry any Sega fanboys out there, but yeah, and the Sega 32X, which was plain crap. But anyway, but Virtua Fighter is a pretty good franchise as well, as you can, I think it's above this one. I have Virtua Fighter 4 just there. I might delete it and get the PS2 original copy. But anyway, yeah, so Virtua Fighter was the first ever, Virtua Fighter by Sega was the first ever 3D fighting game ever, guys. It came out in 1993 in the arcades, 1994. But Tekken was actually a game that, I think it, yeah, I don't know if Namco were directly Sega's rivals, but, yeah, Namco, you know, they saw the success of Virtua Fighter and wanted to have their own go at 3D fighter. You know, the technology was pretty new at the time, and since consoles were getting popular at the time, they released it exclusively for the new kid on the block, the PlayStation, so in 1995. So, but yeah, but like I said, do I really need to tell you why this game was a massive success? It was pretty much, Virtua Fighter was quite a bog standard fighting game made in 3D. The graphics look crap these days, but it was pretty amazing looking back in the day. It's kind of the same for this, but Tekken actually added some style. People might call Tekken a bit of a Virtua Fighter ripoff. It kind of was, to be honest, guys. This one, I mean, specifically. It was a bit of a Virtua Fighter ripoff. You can tell a lot of the characters were trying to piggyback on the Virtua Fighter characters, but in the end, it sold more copies and it was more popular with people. So that's why Tekken reigns supreme, in my opinion, anyway. People say that Virtua Fighter is a more diverse fighting game. But anyway, so before we go into the gameplay and stuff like that, sorry, my control on the floor, let's go into the quick story. So this was Tekken 1, obviously Iron Fist in Japanese, the very first game in the series, and obviously there's this plot here: deadliest warriors, explosive martial art move, the world's, who will be crowned the world's top fighter. That's pretty much just explaining it as a regular tournament fighter. But the plot is kind of a bit complicated, because Tekken's always had a kind of bullcrap plot, to be honest, guys. But yeah, the story is the protagonist, Kazuya, as a 5-year-old child, I'm not joking here, his father, Heihachi, thought he was too much of a wimp, so to prove his manliness, he threw him off a cliff at 5 years old. And if Kazuya could climb up the cliff, he would prove to his father that he was the best. That's pretty much the plot, guys. It's kind of stupid. But yeah, Heihachi was an asshole, so he threw his son off of a cliff. And instead of dying, Kazuya was blind with rage, so he wanted revenge. Now, this is a bit that's kind of weird, because of the absolutely crappy Tekken the motion picture, you know, pretty much Tekken the anime that came out in 1997. That movie apparently messed up the plot of the story. In that movie, the plot is that, Kazuya gets thrown off the cliff, and he's that blinded and angry against his father that that devil actually goes in front of him and possesses him, pretty much. And Kazuya gets possessed up front, but I don't think that's the actual plot, guys. If someone can please put in the in the comment section the actual plot for this game, I'd be very happy. Or if that doesn't happen, I might put it on an annotation, the actual plot. But yeah, it's sort of something similar to that. He gets thrown off the cliff. He's blinded with rage and he needs to get revenge on him, because I don't think Kazuya is actually possessed at this point, because Kazuya, I think this is the only time in the series where he was an actual good guy, kind of like a rip-off of Ryu from Street Fighter, because in all the other games he's kind of an anti-hero. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. While at the same time he's trying to get revenge on his dad, Heihachi. Heihachi's pretty much a millionaire. No, a billionaire at this point, guys. And he makes the King of Iron Fist tournament. And he has the whole prize of $1 billion. And whoever wins the competition out of all the fighters that you have wins it and does something with the prize money. It's that simple. The plot is very simple, nothing that much to care about, really. But yeah, that's it. And obviously, none of the endings apparently are really canon. I don't know. But the only canon ending in this game is Kazuya's ending, because obviously, he ends up actually climbing up the cliff and, well, throws Heihachi off of it. And the rest is history. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's the start of the Mishima cliff dropping competitions. So that's the whole storyline. And this game is pretty legendary when it came out. It's quite legendary, I'm not sure. But yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with this game. Not the actual game itself, but what it did. Because we have all the characters that we all know. Kazuya, Paul, Yoshimitsu, King, Nina, anybody really, Heihachi. They all make their debuts in this game. All these classic characters made their first ever appearances. And yeah, and they make their appearances in very blocky early PlayStation graphics. Yeah, but to be fair, even though this game came out in 1995, it was like one of the first PS1 games ever made. The graphics are pretty good for when the game came out, to be honest, I think. But yeah, I will have to say this game is pretty dated for what it's worth. It is very dated. Now, the reason why Tekken got a lot of praise against the other fighting games, I think Kadikarus mentioned this a long time ago in his retrospective, was because of its massive gameplay changes. For example, in every other fighting games where you have to move the joystick, and it'll make your character do a move, or there's hard and soft punches and kicks. This game actually has the 4 buttons on the arcade and now on the PlayStation buttons as each individual limb. So square and triangle would be the 2 fists, the 2 punches, and X and circle would be the 2 kicks, would control the legs. Well, I know the directional pad controls the body, but yeah, so it depends on how many times you press the buttons, or, which 2 buttons you press at the same time, or 3 at the same time, depends on what move you're going to do. Now, to be honest, this game is pretty limited on the moves, since it was the first one in the series. Tekken 2 adds a lot more moves. It was pretty revolutionary for the time, the control scheme. But yeah, this game is definitely the definition of dated. Like, not just the graphics, but the game is just very, has a lot of input delay. You couldn't really play this very well nowadays, to be honest. I got very frustrated with it. But yeah, it's got quite a lot of input delay. It's got the classic moon jumping, where you can jump 50 meters into the air, obviously, like really old fighting games. And yeah, graphics, and there aren't that good, and there's a lot of moves missing. But for what it was, it was very revolutionary for the time. It was amazing back in the day, probably. But now it's just very dated. And that's a great example for Heihachi, who is probably aside from Azazel and Jinpachi, he's probably one of the cheapest bosses in the series. I have never been able to, do a perfect on this guy. I always get hit by him, and to this day I still haven't unlocked him. The way you have to unlock Heihachi is that you have to play through the whole game without getting a continue, so without getting knocked out once. And yeah, this game is really hard. Along with the input delay and all that kind of stuff, the characters are really quite, fast. The AI is a lot better than you on whatever difficulty you're on, and yeah, it's just annoying. And even then, you only get arcade mode and versus mode. That's about it, to be honest, in terms of what you've got. Oh yeah, and the options menu, yeah. That's it really, guys. There isn't a lot of stuff. So there's arcade mode, versus mode, and options. Yeah, it's much better in Tekken 2 when all this stuff that we all know and love was added. But yeah, that's kind of been my review of Tekken. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Oh yeah, there's sub-bosses in this game. Each character, you get the sub-boss, and then when you beat them, you unlock them. That's pretty standard stuff. Gets a lot better in Tekken 2. The characters do return in that game. But yeah, actually, a little fun fact, Cad Icarus, did you know that and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, did you know that actually, before you start the game in the Namco logo, you actually get to play Gallagher? The game where you fly the planes and stuff like that. You shoot the planes, and apparently if you get it perfect, you unlock Devil Jin. What, Devil Jin? What? No, you unlock Devil Kazuya. So, yeah, which is kind of weird, because I didn't know he had the Devil Gene in this game, but whatever. So, yeah, that's really it, guys. There isn't really that much supernatural stuff in this game. The Devil Gene hasn't really been properly introduced yet. Kazuya is just a kind of a standard good guy. Japanese good guy. And all the characters, obviously, the music. Actually, let's touch into the soundtrack. The soundtrack is actually really funky. It's like funky mid-90s... not really disco music, but techno music. Not really techno, but early, mid-90s music. It's very funky. Let's just say that. It's like Crash Bandicoot style music. The stages do look really basic, but are actually pretty nice and colourful. I do really like the stages in this game. Obviously, you can't sidestep, and you can't really... There's a lot of input delay. When you get knocked down, you can't get up straight away. I think Tekken 2 had that. Moon jumping. And yeah, that's kind of been my review of Tekken 1. I think I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say. There isn't really that many modes to speak of, other than versus mode. There isn't even a practice mode to let you get good at this game. But yeah, that's it. That's been my review of Tekken 1. Next will be Tekken 2 in the same kind of format, and then I'll finally get to Tekken 3 in the disc, because I can properly film the disc like usual. But yeah, that's been my review of Tekken. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know this might have not been what you've wanted, because I'm going to do a review on that crappy anime show, Girls Bravo, eventually. And I'm going to do a really important rant about social justice warriors on the internet and feminazis, because they've just been pissing me off, to be honest. But yeah, that's been the Tekken 1 review. Eventually these will all get put in a playlist when I'm bothered to do that. So anyway, that was Tekken 1. I'll see you next time. We've only got 2 games left in the series. Or 3 if you count Tekken 7 when it comes out. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.